Heard you were the size of a prize bull, too.
Hello people, I am Inko, and today I'll be doing something a little different. I'll be reviewing an old ass game that's kind of interesting, kinda shit to play, and loved only by the most influential and elite people of our world. On an unrelated note, they have contractually obligated me to review this game. Listen, I am doing this of my own free will. It just so happens that these people have gotten a hold of my DMs, and have come to notice that in my few moments of sobriety, they make me look like a total degenerate, which I'm not ashamed of. As a wise man once said, I need to get my rocks off. But it occurred to me that 60% of my subscribers are in fact family members, and for their sanity and to keep my inheritance, I'll play along and make this review. Anyway, to get a little off topic, Primal is a first-party Sony game about fighting things and doing a lot of walking. And surprising, despite no one knowing anything about it or even asking for it, the game has been ported to PlayStation consoles, ensuring that you, living in the 19th century, can play it. You don't even have to commit a crime to play it, which is a first for my channel. Primal tells a story a lot of my girl bosses in the audience can relate to. Your boyfriend lied about his age and now your father has sent someone to murder him. He succeeds but also ends up killing you in the process, to which your reaction is,
Oh my god. I'm dead? No, I don't want to be dead.
now you only survive because your manlet Discord daddy came to save his kitten. He explains to you that you're biracial and that mixed people in this universe are exceedingly rare. Because of this, you can walk on worlds as uniracials can't. It's up to us now to channel the power of our four personalities to restore order to the lesser races, lest chaos take over and end the world or some shit. Primal is quite a deceptive game. You see these trailers, this box art, the main character, and even the footage I've cherry-picked. The atmosphere that's so thick and layered, exacerbated only by the lack of background music. It gives the impression of a dark, edgy, horror-inspired game about killing horrific demons. And then Jen opens her mouth.
I have to do my duty now. Offer myself for sacrifice.
Hey, good plan.
Which then you'll instantly realize, oh, she's a fucking goofball. That's not a bad thing. In fact, it's one of the main reasons why I like this game so much. Primal is a game that tries to do a lot of things, does them kinda poorly, but pulls its own weight by having lovable characters, a dark and growing world, and by having a pretty great story. Anyway, before I start glazing the game, we must talk about gameplay. I don't like this at all, namely the combat, which is very floaty and feels like hitting someone with styrofoam. You fight with the current industry standard light attack, heavy attack, special, and parry. But there's not much variation when it comes to fighting. You can practically just button mash the same attack throughout the game to achieve the same results, since every enemy is equally weak to getting hit in the face. There's a neat animation that plays as a finishing move that has Jen savagely kill an enemy, but that doesn't really add anything except taking too long and sometimes breaking the game's animations. But it is mandatory because otherwise enemies get back up after a couple seconds. Throughout the game you pick up different forms that all have unique weapons, but they're all functionally the same, the main difference being the animations. Except for the final form, which lets you switch between dual blades that are faster or a big sword that is slow but does more damage. Combat is kind of just okay. It does the job fine and is never outright terrible, except for the parry, which barely works. However, the combat is more disappointing than anything else, as it feels like a missed opportunity with a wealth of unrealized potential. Those different forms you have are severely underutilized, not just in combat but in other things as well. It's awkward to switch between them during fights because doing so plays a lengthy and unskippable cutscene that no one is going to want to sit through. Adding to that, it is always more effective to fight enemies using that respective world's form. Raids are always easier to fight as raids, furries in your fursuit, and so on. There's an interesting idea that's introduced that if Jen dies, Scree can backtrack to the nearest gate and bring her back to life. But the game undermines this by letting you save anywhere, and it's just more time efficient to reload a save. So all these mechanics never coalesce into anything or come together coherently, eventually making combat repetitive, confused, and uninteresting. Except for when they do actually change things up, but only one time. A lot before is such a change to combat because now I actually have to think about what I'm doing. Is it best to try and dual wield or use the big sword to hit multiple enemies at once? Or rather, when to use the big sword so you don't get interrupted. It's not a lot, but the difference is enough to make the lava level stand out. At last, this variety is short-lived. Anyway, most of the time you're not actually fighting, you're engaging with the world and using the second playable character to solve puzzles and figure out where you need to go. Jen can fight, use her different forms, and reach items on a tall shelf. Scree has the ability to get hard, walk on walls but not all of them, suck off the dead for health, or shove rocks up his pussy. Switching between Jen and Scree doesn't feel too tedious, it's a good balance overall. But to be honest, there's not much reason to play as Scree unless you're trying to solve puzzles or look at Jen's ass. The environment is used to great effect in Primal. These are places and civilizations that have existed far longer than anything Jen knows. So a lot of the levels are built in a way that would seem obvious to anyone living there but labyrinthine to outsiders. Exploring these places is honestly the best part of playing Primal, except for the water level because the swimming controls suck ass. But even considering that, this world looks so alien, the landscapes that exist underwater, a giant corpse that no one points out, and even the giant machines you have to crawl into. Then you visit the peasant village, where the world is nothing but cold grays, endless rain, and quiet misery. Beyond it lies a palace, vast and imposing, its halls lined with secret doors and severed heads. The heads aren't too bad, they tend to cheer you on. For a game released in 2003, having semi-open worlds that look this good, crafted with such artistic vision and attention to atmosphere, is truly impressive. There is a real sense of isolation in these grim alien worlds, with only the sound of your footsteps to accompany you, like Dark Souls. It also effectively means that navigating these spaces become puzzles themselves. The game does use a variety of environmental puzzles, but just like the combat, they're underwhelming and one-dimensional. The 4 different forms you get all have a unique ability. Furry can reach higher platforms, Goth can slow down time, Lava has the big sword, and Fish can navigate underwater. But aside from the fish, none of these unique abilities are used in an interesting manner. Well, with the fish, she can swim so you make a whole world underwater. Simple, I got no qualms with it. But then we have the ability to slow down time, and the only reason for it is to pull a lever and open a time door. You slow down time and you run before the door closes. Like, that's lame. You can build a whole game with this mechanic, yet it's just used for this one purpose. Similarly, there are parts of the game where you think you need a different form to progress, yet I can only think of maybe 3 times where this is the case. There's also another mechanic wherein Scree can possess a statue at the price of lodestones you find lying around. You can find lodestones scattered all over the world, but the only statues Scree can possess are the ones that are needed to progress the game. So what was the point of having us collect the stones? So while these environments are aesthetically very impressive to explore, you're not really going to find anything that presents a challenge to you. It's not bad by any means, just unremarkable. One of the biggest praises you'll see Primal get is of its characters and story. For the most part, Jen and Scree's voice acting is solid and their interactions feel pretty natural. It has the vibe of going fishing with your grandpa, but he hates your zoomerisms. A lot of that is due to most of the conversations being recorded in person, and it really goes a long way at making the characters feel believable. The main story follows an ongoing war between 2 gods responsible for maintaining order in the universe. Aurela standing for order and Abaddon being chaos. But one day Abaddon says this shit is gay and tries to take control over everything. He does this primarily by sending one guy to a world, having him spread rage bait on their Twitter feed, and then letting the world go to shit. And so far, it seems to have worked. Aurela then employs her final secret weapon, Jen, to try and fix up everything Abaddon ruined. But as powerful as Jen is, she's also a dumbfuck teenage girl. While she doesn't really want anything to do with whatever they have going on, she goes regardless, because 1, she's dead, and 2, it seems to be the best way for her to find her boyfriend again. The story itself is kinda set up like a TV show, each realm being similar to a different episode. We go to a place, find a problem, fix it, and then bounce. It's not all surprising considering the main inspiration for this game was Buffy. Each world has some sort of fantasy political drama that we have to sort out. Like the king is immortal so he keeps ruling and it kinda sucks. Or overthrowing a couple of tyrants and letting their mentally stable daughter take over. I wish we knew how that turned out. That world was not a good place to be. That's a bit of an issue with the game's episodic format. We barely get closure with the realms. We get a pat on the back and a kiss on the dick before we're told they got it handled and we can go. It's not a big issue, but I do wish we got just a bit more closure. Overall, I can't point to any particular realm and say it was the weakest. All of them are fairly interesting in both their presentation and story they tell. The side characters they introduced are well voice acted and are complicated enough to carry the realm. Their motivations going from don't want my countrymen to keep dying to thinking you're not good enough to follow up on your father's benevolent reign. None of the realms drag either, so the game maintains a good sense of pacing as you progress, as each realm offers something new and avoids repeating itself, which to me is a damn good thing. If you have a realm that isn't up to par or isn't memorable, then you have a quarter of the game that sucks. Now, all that aside, the main reason you'll stick with the story is the 2 leads. Jen and Scree have, how should I put this? The sauce. Their relationship has a fair amount of depth to keep you engaged. On one hand, Jen just kinda tagged along because there weren't a whole lot of other options left. So for the first couple of hours, she's just bumming around, not taking anything seriously. On the other hand, Scree knows just how bad the situation is, but despite his best efforts, he can't really convey that to Jen. Mostly because she doesn't really have a reason to care about anything that's going on. He takes on a mentor type role, but it's very evident that he isn't used to guiding someone with the way he gets annoyed, or how he explains things in a way that he would understand but not Jen, or how he doesn't even try to convince Jen to accept the fish power. He just goes up to her and says, hey, eat this, trust me. Still, they end up forming a mutual respect and friendship as the game goes on because he supports Jen and tries to keep her safe. Kind of. Now, Jen, as the only human character in the game, is our lens into this world. Alongside that, she's an ordinary girl with no horse in this race, aside from finding her boyfriend. And this comes off as her being dismissive about a lot of things she sees. Now, her character type is the sarcastic quippy type a la Forspoken or Marble. While this archetype has gone out of favor in recent years, thanks in no small part to Foreskin and Marble, I do think it works quite well with Jen. For starters, it goes a long way towards making her feel grounded. As I mentioned, she is the only human character, so it's quite important that the audience be able to connect with her. The girl boss, girl failure demeanor definitely makes it easier to latch onto her. Oftentimes her sarcasm comes off more like a coping mechanism than anything else, and she's like this because otherwise she would be freaking out. And in the moments where she isn't saying jokes, you can see just how clueless and lost she is, often leaning on Scree for support, until she ends up accepting her destiny or whatever. Jen to me is the best part of Primal. She's a great character with some goofy moments that juxtapose well with the serious tone of the realms and overall story. The story is not perfect, which I mean is obvious, nothing is perfect, so bear with me here. Probably my biggest criticism is that Jen's motivations are kinda whack. Her main driving force is that she wants to find her boyfriend again and rescue him, which works fine. However, her boyfriend only gets like 2 lines of dialogue the entire game. Nor does Jen ever really talk about him at all. Whenever she brings him up, it's usually to say how much she wants to find him again, so he could have been swapped out with Jen's vibrator for all it mattered. Ultimately, that means the emotional climax of the story is lacking. That goes for the major antagonist too. Abaddon is an evil clown that does fuck all, and the other guy gets his ass beat and disappears until the final boss fight. So the stakes of the story are fairly non-existent. While yeah, the realms we visit aren't exactly doing great, and it's much easier to get invested in the side characters, too often does it feel like we're just touring the realms, which does not juxtapose well with the serious tone of the game. None of these are deal breakers, of course. There is still a lot to enjoy from the story, but it is weaker because of it, making it less impactful than it could have been. Primal tries to do a lot of things. It manages to reintroduce new characters and settings with ease and without dropping the quality in their storyline. It wraps it up in a story that's very character driven, where the way people are impacted by events are more important than the events themselves. The story is neither flawless nor entirely original, but it's executed with great skill, yet it struggles when it comes to actually playing the game. Its mediocre systems do it no favor, and players can be turned away by the slow pace many of the levels take, despite how good the realms look. Overall, Primal has what I like to call first game syndrome. I coined that. Anyone who uses it has to credit me. But it's where a game has good ideas and themes and a solid foundation, but it kinda misses the mark. A sequel could have greatly improved what had been established. Unfortunately, Primal never got a sequel. It was going to, but it got cancelled, thus ensuring that Primal would forever be relegated to the game shithead YouTubers make videos about. Overall, I did enjoy my time with Primal. It's definitely a product of people who grew up in the 90s, but it's just missing the spark that could have taken this game from good to something great. Anyways, that's all the nut I've got to give today. Do the thing with the like and subscribe and what was that? Why have I been gone so long? Will you shut up, man? I'm trying to end the video.